Today I want to talk about the Outbreak main Easter egg because personally I think this Easter egg is a ton of fun and probably the best Easter egg that we've got since Ancient Evil, if I'm being completely honest. Yeah, there's been a decent amount of maps in between there that just haven't been too hot to say the very least. But more than that, I think for this game specifically, Cold War Zombies, I think it's incredibly good because, in my opinion, the last two Easter eggs weren't really that hot, and I just didn't like them, if I'm being completely honest. Of course, those being Firebase Z and D Machina. And I think talking about or quickly summarizing my problems with those Easter eggs could really show why I enjoyed this one so much, but we'll really focus on that first. But quickly, let me just say why I didn't like the two previous Easter eggs, because personally, I didn't find it to be any of the three things that I think is important in an Easter egg. Again, a lot of subjectivity here, so if you guys disagree, that's completely fine. But to me, I think an Easter egg has to at least have two of these attributes, and one is worth grinding, fun, or challenging. And honestly, I didn't get that feeling out of any of the other previous Easter eggs. Like, they just weren't fun to me, and they just weren't worth grinding because you didn't really get anything out of them. And also, they just weren't like too challenging either to me personally, because I've been playing zombies for a while. I know a hard Easter egg when I see one, and those weren't it. And there's nothing wrong with these Easter eggs. I don't have a problem with them, but I just need at least one of those three things to happen. Of course, if you guys think those Easter eggs fun, that's completely fine, but again, this is just my personal opinion. But to really point out what was really a huge problem with these two Easter eggs for me, it really was their boss fights. Like, their boss fights just weren't it. I mean, D Machina arguably didn't even have a boss fight, and then Firebase Z's boss fight was incredibly easy once you knew what you were doing, and it was really easy to figure out what you were doing. And it was also killed by the fact that the boss fight was literally the same boss fight you got on round 30, and now that same Orda is walking around Outbreak, and that's the boss fight of Firebase Z. I know it just kind of seems a little weird to me. And the reason I point this out is because I'll be coming back to this later in this video. But for now, I want to change our focus from previous things and actually explain why I think this Easter egg is so good. Because I'm going to be honest, if you write this Easter egg down on a paper, it seems kind of cringe. I ain't going to lie. I mean, how many steps does this even have? Like, let's count them, because we could probably count them on, one and a little bit of the two hands with it. Because the first step is just on round 3, go find the radios and do the radio thing. Okay, that's one step. On round 4, find the monkey, get the thing that it drops, and then you count that as one step, I guess. And then after that, take it to the projector, which if you want to count as two different steps, then go ahead. But we'll count it as two different steps for now. So that's 3. And then the next round, all you have to do is just go under Ruka. So just by doing 2 or 3 steps, you're already under Ruka, like major Easter egg territory right there. But once you finally get there, all you have to do is collect 3 keys after that. So let's just add 3 to that, so it's 6. And then maybe you add the boss fight right at the end, which is 7. Of course, you probably count these steps a little bit different, count things as you have steps. But either way, the point I'm trying to make here is that there's not that many steps. I think we all agree there's not that many Easter egg steps in this Easter egg, which is interesting because it's just not something that we would normally expect out of something we'd call a good Easter egg. I mean, you think of the top tier Easter eggs of all time, you think of like the Rising Rocket, and there's way more than just 7 steps on that Easter egg. So, what the heck's going on here? And but I actually think this works out for this map here or this mode, Outbreak, that is, because if you think about it, most of the time you're playing this until you get under Ruka, you're not really doing the Easter egg. You're really just trying to get set, trying to get a gold gun, trying to get, your armor, your perks, and everything you need to get set to fight the boss. Like, that's really your main goal throughout the first 4 rounds. Like, sure, there's Easter egg steps that happen on 2 of those 4 rounds, but really that's not what you're doing. You're just trying to get set. And how you want to get set in this is by doing the main objective, which is something that gives you points, salvage, and all that, but also doing the side objectives, whether it be fighting an Orda, getting a free perk, doing the lightning box, gold box, whatever you want to call it, or doing the crystal rush thing, whatever you want to call that too. Like, those technically aren't steps, but they kind of are something that you're going to do anyway, so it does add to the steps if you want to count those. And because of that, in reality, this Easter egg just doesn't only have 7 steps. It really has a lot more steps. And that's why this Easter egg lasts about an hour to an hour and a half to complete, somewhere around that range. At least that's how my times have been doing this Easter egg. So I think that is why it's not a huge problem that there's so few Easter egg steps in this Easter egg, because of everything else you have to do in order to get set up on this. And that's why I think it just works. But of course, that's not the main highlight of this Easter egg, at least in my opinion. Sure, it's really cool when you go under Ruka. All the steps you do down there are really cool. Launching the rockets, the cool cutscene you get there, like, that's sick. I love that stuff. But what really made this Easter egg for me is the boss fight. I just like this boss fight. It just works. Yeah, it's a little bit annoying when you have a bunch of, mini bosses chasing you and dogs and zombies, but, it's whatever. It's a little challenging. And that's kind of what we hadn't had out of a boss fight, because before this, boss fights didn't really feel challenging, given we've only had one boss fight thus far, but they didn't really feel challenging. And that felt like a problem to me, because in every Easter egg before this, like, the boss fight's supposed to be the most difficult part of the Easter egg, right? So, for this to finally be a cool looking boss fight, like, it feels cool, it looks cool, like the sound, everything just seems really cool. And more than that, it's challenging on top of that. I think it's just an overall really good boss fight. And the only main issue I have with this is that the boss itself is not actually what is going to be your main threat throughout the boss fight. It's really just going to be the mini bosses that are chasing you while you're trying to shoot them, but that's not the biggest deal in the world, because literally the Rising Rocket does the exact same thing. The main way you die in that is to the Panzers, so it's not the biggest thing in the world, but it's just something that I just personally wish was slightly different. But again, you could levy that criticism against either of them. The main point, though, is that this is a fun and challenging Easter egg, and because of that, I just really like it. And it's just something that I've been having a ton of fun doing over and over again. I completed it twice solo on stream, completed another time after that playing with some people, then I completed 2 more times off streams on solo. So I've been really enjoying this Easter egg, to say the very least. I think it's probably one of the better Easter eggs. It, like, ticks all the boxes for me. Like, it's around that time where I like Easter eggs taking. They take about, an hour to an hour and a half. That's how long I like my Easter eggs to last, and don't want to have a 2-3 hour grind. BO4. Don't want them to be too fast, like maybe the previous ones in this. But it just does everything that I personally like out of it, especially that boss fight at the end. It's just pretty fun stuff. But either way, that's all I had to say with this video, and I just want to let everybody know who hasn't gave it a shot yet, especially for the Outbreak haters, give it a shot. It's a really fun Easter egg, and if you guys are having trouble completing it, especially you solo players, I'm going to be making a strategy guide on the best possible way to complete this Easter egg on solo, and it's going to be really easy, at least as long as you're pretty good at zombies, that is. It's going to be the easiest possible way to complete it. Is probably the better way I should word that, but either way, that's about it for me. If you guys did enjoy this video, definitely do all the normal YouTube stuff, like, subscribe, bell, share, and all that great stuff. But I'm gonna go. I got you guys next stream video, wherever the heck it may be, and laters, guys.